So why am I against stop and frisk? Well, the whole idea that you can randomly pick people out of a crowd with no suspicion, no probable cause, randomly interrogate them, if not give them a slew of questions that they have to answer, and to search their person, to look for an item that may be illegal, even though there is no evidence that there could be anything that they're carrying illegal, is tyrannical by all means. But more specifically, it violates the 4th and 14th Amendment of the Constitution. It's in the Bill of Rights. So this is what it comes down to on the 4th Amendment. It's pretty clear, It's the prohibition on unreasonable searches and seizures, and police have to have that reasonable suspicion, probable cause to do any of this. And so it's more specifically when you read the 4th Amendment, it reads, and this is not the entirety, this is just a good portion of it, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon the probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, etc. So, it doesn't get much clearer than that. And then it goes on to the 14th Amendment. This is just a portion of that. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States of America, nor deprive any person of life, liberty, and property without due process of law, so forth and so forth. It goes on. So instead of Donald Trump trying to point out that we need some kind of stupid ass stop and frisk that violates two of our, amendments here of the Constitution and puts us in great jeopardy and danger, even though he's saying, well, I'd only use it in Chicago. What's to say you wouldn't expand that to another city? And even in Chicago, it's still wrong. So what's the problem here? Well, first of all, he's not touching upon the real issues of why we have tremendous crime rates. He doesn't want to talk about the degradation of the family, or why communities are literally falling apart, and why there isn't a sense of community, why there isn't any respect, why there is a lot of crime. And why is that? Well, first of all, I have to point out that it just happens that all these cities that have these problems, in particular Chicago, has some of the most draconian and most restricted gun laws. They call them gun safety bullshit, but gun safety laws, gun control is what it is, that completely restricts law-abiding citizens, and in most cases completely bans a full variety of means of carry. A lot of places you can't even get a concealed carry license or permit, much less be able to even select the gun that you would wish to have on your person, out in public, or even in your own home. There's restrictions, if not heavily bans on a lot of this stuff. So that's the first thing. Gun control is actually keeping law-abiding citizens from actually being able to protect themselves against the criminals, of giving the criminals the upper hand. So that's the first problem that needs to be addressed. The gun control in general is a failure, and it always has been. So that's the first problem. Number two is all the red tape that we see, that government gets involved, especially with businesses. And it just, once again, we have to go back to these cities that have the problems. Just typically, if not everyone that I've seen personally, is a left-wing, democratic, extreme, on the verge of socialism type of ideology. These democratic cities and states that have all these issues, and they wonder why none of this is working for them. Because, well, first of all, they're brain dead, and they don't see that gun control is a problem, and all of this red tape is keeping the economic prosperity from actually developing. And it goes hand in hand with taxation. It's overtaxation. And it's not just, the big cities, the big left-wing cities that overtax. It's also a combination of all these hoops you have to go through to even open up a business or even to maintain a business. All kinds of stipulations. If you don't have this and that, you can get sued by this party or this special interest party. And so that to me is way too heavy-handed in terms of government intervention. That needs to be out big time. And that goes hand in hand with governments are just too big in general. And so that's one of the reasons why we have all these ridiculous taxes, because the governments of our cities and state, and especially federal, are so bloated. They require more and more and more, and they'll never get enough taxes, never, ever get enough. And so it always comes on the backs of us, the few that are employed. And so we, the taxpayers, we, the few, pay for everything. And then everything else that they don't have money for, they just borrow it against our future generations, our children's generations, and our children's generation. And so they don't have any regard for our future. And that's what their whole thing is about, is destroying our future. The left-wing socialist agenda has always been about destroying America. And there's no doubt about that. So instead of talking about these issues, the underlying issues of why we have crime in certain cities and why we don't have crime in other cities, we want to just talk about search and stop and frisk, or all these unconstitutional acts, which is totally malarkey. So we don't need stop and frisk. That's the last thing we need. We need to actually have more sense of a community, government to get out of our way. And we want to get our full rights and liberties back in all of our cities in this great nation, the United States of America. And we don't need governments telling us what's best for us. That's for us to decide. And they can get the hell out of our way. And so with that, what else would you add to the mix here? What else would you say is a big factor of why we have crime? Because it's not just poor education, even though it's a big part of it. And I would say that definitely is part of the package of the problems. But I also have to say, it could be various types of mentalities of people too. Certain groups just typically have more problems than others. African American communities just happen to have such a higher, immense higher crime rate than other types of diversity of races. Why is that? And we should look into that. There are a lot of reasons probably for that. There could be just more broken homes, less education, less focus on the family for education and prosperity. And it goes on and on. It could be gangs. It could just be certain mentalities of entitlement. It could just be, multi-generations of entitlement that you get into this. And that's where we have government gets in our way. It actually stifles and chokes out the life of a family, because the family doesn't want to better themselves. Because why would you want to better yourself if you don't have to go to work and you can just stay at home and let the government pay you stay at home? And when it's really not just the government paying you, it's you and I that work. We're paying for them to sit at home, when most of these people are very well able-bodied people that just finds a way to get into the system. And we're seeing this all around the world in first world countries. Especially I see this with my friends telling me this in Great Britain and even parts of Australia. People have worked the system. And they push, and of course the government loves to give out more and more welfare, because they have more and more people now dependent on them, and they have more and more control over you. So don't fall for this crap. So let's get back to, the stop and frisk. Once again, it violates the 4th Amendment and the 14th Amendment and the whole spirit of what it is to be American. And if you want to fight crime, go to the source, not impede upon everyone else's liberties and freedoms just because you're in that area or you're moving through that city. Maybe I would want to go sometime to go to Chicago. I highly doubt it. But let's just say if I ever did go, I would never want to be stopped and frisked, or, that's just totally, I would be irate over that. Why? There's no probable cause. There's no ideology here that's based on reasonable suspicion. And so why should I be singled out? Why should anybody be singled out? Just because a police officer has a desire to do that, or they're being told to do that. There's a lot of other reasons why New York's crime rate went down when the stop and frisk, and that it's not being talked about. So let's just be honest with ourselves and say, hey, this is unconstitutional. This is not acceptable in our country, and we don't want this trickle-down effect to begin in all kind of other countries. It's already going on, much less in other parts of our country that we have here in the United States. And we don't want this to be something that's a new fad, that, you can just stop someone for no reason and search them and they don't have any kind of due recourse. No, that is wrong. And so I just want to speak out on this. You guys take care, and I'll catch you later.